Hello everyone. I'm Nick. Um Today we're going to be ranking Elden Ring bosses, specifically remembrance bosses, including the DLC remembrance bosses as well. So that is like 25 bosses in total. 26 if you want to include Bale, which I'm including. So 26 bosses in total um that I'll be ranking. Um, we've done Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3. We've done Bloodborne, and we've done Sekiro. And now we're moving into the final game in the series, Elden Ring. Now, if you don't already know, Elden Ring is my personal favorite game out of all of those games. And honestly, it's probably my favorite game of all time. I love Elden Ring. It's I've beaten it countless times. It's easily the game that I have the most time in out of all of the From Software games. I probably have like 1,500 hours in it. Probably closer to 2,000 hours in total in Elden Ring. Um, and I fucking love the game. I've beaten all the bosses countless times. I've beaten the game countless times. And I think I have a pretty validated opinion, okay? I have the most experience in this game than any of the other games. Um, so this tier list is going to be the most valid ever. All right? I don't want to hear it. This is basically going to be fact. This is going to be scripture, what I'm speaking right now. Um, there is another game called Elden Ring Night Rain that I just got for Christmas for me and my friends, so we're all going to be playing it. Um, and you'll be seeing content of that very soon. I already streamed it a couple or one time. I've already streamed it one time, but I know that there's a ton of unique bosses in Night Rain. I think there's like 10, or maybe a little more, like unique bosses to that game. But I haven't fought them yet. I haven't played the game yet, and I've seen a ton of spoilers. I've seen most, if not all, of the bosses that Elden Ring Night Rain has to offer, but I haven't played against them yet, so I don't want to make a tier list on a game that I haven't played much of. I just got it, all right? So give me a little bit, and maybe an Elden Ring Night Rain tier list, boss tier list will come out. Um, but so far I'm enjoying the game. But that's a separate topic. Just know that you'll be seeing more content of Elden Ring Night Rain. Um, but for now, let's get into the Elden Ring boss fight tier list. All right. What's going on, Alex? How are we doing? Today's a big day. It's a big day. All right. Elden Ring boss fight, remembrance boss fight tier list. Let's just get right into it. First remembrance boss of the game is Godric the Grafted. And I like this guy a lot. Virtually, he's flawless. Literally. Like he's an amazing fight. But he just isn't as epic as some other fights, I would say. He is pretty cinematic, like his opening cutscene, and then his phase two where he chops his arm off and then fucking attaches a dragon head onto it. That's pretty fucking sick, all right? But it lacks the visual in terms of like his arena. You know, you kind of just fight him in like a gray like area. It's like it has like a ton of graves and stuff, so it's like a semi graveyard area. But the arena isn't anything special. It's just like the visual and like the total scale of the fight doesn't compare to some other fights. You know what I'm saying? Um, W Goon Streak. Yeah, shout out you, Alex. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I smell weird, but I feel good. Felt. Felt that. Um, so Godric, I think this is gonna be crazy, but Godric, I think, is S tier. I don't know if that's a hot take, but Godric, there's virtually really nothing wrong with his fight. I don't think he's the best fight in the game, but um, it's just a little lacking in some departments, like the visuals of it all, and like I said, the epicness. Oh fuck, my ear itches. The epicness, if that's a word, of the fight is just a little lacking compared to some other fights. Like there's some other fights that have that are just as good in terms of like combat and everything, um, but are just lacking in like the visuals, you know? I don't know. He's an S tier fight though, so I'm putting him in S tier. I don't think he's the best fight. We'll get to some other S tier fights. This might be a little biased because it's my favorite game, but there's gonna be a lot of S tier fights in this game. Um, all right, moving on. We now have the moon bitch, Renala, Queen of the Full Moon. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this is definitely one of the worst like fights, remembrance fights in this game, like on the worst end of the spectrum. Let's start with the positives though. It's really pretty, especially your second phase. Your first phase, you fight her in like a library with like all of these like stacked books, um, candlelit library. It's like chandeliers are everywhere, so it's really pretty then. But then you move on to the second phase of the fight, and then you fight her on a moonlit lake. That's pretty sick. The lore. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I know a ton about Elden Ring lore, so the lore about pretty much all of these fights is gonna be sick. Her lore is no exception. Her lore is pretty cool. Learning about her relationship with Radagon, and you know the Elden Ring. It's pretty cool. But when it comes to the actual fight itself, the first phase is a complete gimmick, and when you solve the puzzle, it's not a challenge at all. You just hunt down the bitches that are glowing. I think they're throwing books at you too, and you just smack them, and then it breaks like a shard on her barrier. Do that a couple more times, and then her barrier's broken. She falls down. You smack her around a bit until she dies, or she, summons her barrier again. If she summons her barrier again, then you just do the exact same thing again, and then you hit her until she dies. Like the first phase is a complete joke, um, but it kind of shows that she doesn't really want to fight you. It shows that she's more of a passive sort of boss, and that really says a lot about her character. But that doesn't make up for the fact that the first phase is boring and a complete just weird puzzle gimmick thing. Um, I can see it being difficult if you just don't know how to solve the puzzle. But if you just smack around enough of her little fucking daughter like clone things, then you'll figure it out eventually. Um, but the second phase is where it gets a little better. Her daughter Ronnie, which you meet later in the game, summons Prime Renala, and this is where you fight her when she's in her prime. She's like the full moon queen, and it's like, oh shit, she could use a lot of spells now. But she is a complete wizard. She has like two melee moves, which are annoying as fuck, by the way. But most of the time, she just ends up running away and casting spells at you. Running away and summoning some fucking wolves to fight for her or a fucking dragon. Like literally, that's what she does. Most of her moveset is running away and casting a spell, or running away and summoning something else to fight for her. So, uh, the actual fight in the second phase, it's not fun. It's really reminiscent of what's his name? Gwendolyn from Dark Souls 1, how he all he would do is just teleport away and then cast spells at you. It feels like an upgraded version of Gwendolyn's fight. At least she has a couple of melee moves where she spins her wand around. But it's really not much. She doesn't have a lot of melee depth to her moveset. Um I will say though, the experience you have with this fight varies on the type of playstyle you have. If you're more of a melee character, you just run up and bonk someone until they die, you're probably going to have a really easy time with this fight, especially if you're a strength user, because a lot of the heavier weapons are going to stun her every time you hit her. so she's not going to be able to fly away if you just keep stunning her over and over again. And that's what I did in my playthrough. I think I was using the Claymore or the Flame Burge or whatever, and all I did was walk up to her, hit her over and over again, and she never had the opportunity to actually run away. Um, so the fight was actually super easy for me when I was streaming it. But I've had completely different experiences with this fight. Sometimes I would fight her with a completely different build, and it would be like hell. If you're using a build that uses like smaller weapons like daggers or like fists, you don't stun her, and she just like um casts her spells through your attacks. And like I said, she runs away, so you're just gonna constantly be running at her. Another thing is that if you're using a magic build and you're using intelligence and sorceries, she's super resistant to that. So you're gonna be doing very little damage to her if you're using any sort of magic. She's super resistant to it. So it depends on how your character is built. Um, you can have very different experiences with this fight. Most of the time, though, it's pretty easy, and it's it's not that she's poorly designed. I just think if she just had like maybe a more threatening melee um like moveset, then the fight would be a little better, you know? But she doesn't. Um I'm feeling like low C tier for her because at least the visuals are really cool. Um the whole like lore behind her is really cool. And some of her moves are pretty cool too. She like uses the Comet Azure spell, the fucking big laser beam. That's pretty sick. But when you actually fight her, she's more of just like an annoying pest than anything, and that's not a fun boss. So she's C tier. She has some redeeming qualities, but she doesn't rank that high. Next, we have the ancestral. Actually, I'll wait to rank this because technically you fight the remembrance version of this boss after you kill Radahn. So, um, yeah, we'll wait. All right. Next, we have Radahn. Not Radahn Prime. That's in the DLC. We have base game Radahn. And uh this is an S tier fight. I was just wondering if he was better than Godric, but he definitely is. The cutscene, the whole festival, setting up his boss fight, the lore behind Radahn is phenomenal. Like he's one of the most fleshed out characters in the entire game. By the end of the game, you know so much about Radahn, it's not even funny. But like the more you learn about him, like the more epic he becomes. When you fight him, you fight him in this like desert dune sort of area, and um he's riding on a horse even though he's gigantic, but he's not riding on him literally, he's floating on him. And it's so cute because he knows gravity sorcery, but the reason why he learned gravity sorcery is so he could, still ride his horse even though he's gigantic. So he loves his horse. Leonard, by the way, that's his name. The horse's name. Um but everything about Radahn is so fucking cool. He's one of the best fights in the game. Um from his fucking moveset, from his lore. The arena is sick. It's super fucking big, which makes sense. And the whole setup to the fight, the fact that it's like a festival and like people are celebrating fighting him, it's so fucking cool. You can summon those same people who are celebrating with you in the arena as you fight him to help you fight him. It's so fucking cool. It's like a war against one person. That just shows you how powerful Radahn is. Makes the game so sick. And I had a great time fighting him. Nowadays, I don't really summon to fight this guy, but when I first fought him, yeah, I was running around the entire arena, summoning everything, trying to defeat this guy. It's amazing what he can do. I really have nothing else to say. He's just an amazing fight. If I had one complaint, I think he is a little too big for his own good. Um, Obviously it makes sense within the lore because like he started like growing unnaturally once he got into power. I don't know how it exactly worked, but um, it just shows within the game, which makes sense. But I think the size that he was when you fight him in his prime in the DLC, when you fight Primerdon, I think the size he is here is a lot more ideal because you could see his entire body the entire time. You can see the moves he's about to do, even if you're up in his face, you can see everything. Um, but base gamer Don, he's a little too big. If you're a melee character, you're gonna be at his, feet at his like lower half, slashing away at him, and you may not see a couple of the attacks that he's about to do because you're so close to him. Um, it's just a bit of camera trouble, because of his size, but this is just a minor complaint. He's still a great fight, S tier fight. I enjoy fighting him every time. Moving on, now we have the ancestral spirit. I think it's called the regal ancestral spirit. Hold on. I have the wiki pulled up here. Remembrance of the regal ancestor. Okay, there we go. So now, um, this fight sucks. This fight, um, I don't know if I'm calling it too early, but this might be the worst fight in the game. The worst remembrance boss fight in the game. Um, um, First of all, you fight the a different regal ancestor spirit like a little earlier in the game, and it has the exact same moveset. They literally just duplicated this boss, which never feels good. It's one of my biggest complaints about Elden Ring is that they duplicate. I'm fine with them duplicating, field bosses and scattering them throughout the map, or duplicating like dungeon bosses, and then when you go fight them, it's like, hey, it's this boss again, but he has a twin, or he fights with a bunch of rats around him. I'm fine with them doing that because all of those guys are optional, and to me, they just feel more like rune farms than anything. Like, oh, I need some runes, I'm gonna go kill this field boss over here. But when it comes to remembrance bosses, it feels really shitty when they duplicate a boss. And they do it to like half of the bosses in the game, the remembrance bosses in the game. You fight a different version of them sometime later in the game, or before you fight them, actually. It feels bad. It makes the actual remembrance boss feel less unique. Um, and it just makes no sense in my mind. You know what I'm saying? But you fight a different version of this guy earlier in the game, and he's the exact same thing. I don't think they have a single difference. Their arena is the exact same. I think their soundtrack is the exact same, which is a really pretty soundtrack, by the way, and a pretty arena too. It is a nice arena and a soundtrack, but they duplicate it for both the fights. And he's the exact same in terms of design, in terms of his fighting mechanics. Like he fights the exact same. And it's like, why the fuck did you duplicate this guy? Why did you guys feel the need to duplicate this boss fight? It feels really shit. And it takes away from, the actual remembrance fight. Even though it's not that good anyway. It's not helping. You know what I'm saying? Um, this guy's going D tier. Just the fight overall, it feels really awkward because you fight this huge deer thing. And let's start with the positives, okay? We'll always start with the positives. Like I said, really pretty visuals in terms of its like how it looks, the boss, and how the arena looks. You're fighting in like this like shallow little pond area that's like glowing, and so is the boss. The boss's antlers are glowing and everything. It's really cool. And the soundtrack is super pretty as well. But I'm gonna say that's all the boss really has going for it. Those are like the only redeeming qualities it has. Is that it's pretty, you know? But fighting the thing is just a pain in the ass. It's this big deer thing. So if you fight it as a melee character, or if you have like any sort of melee moves, then you're gonna be fighting its like small hooves on the ground that are hard to hit. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna be fighting his face or his body because he's standing on his feet, you know? And his feet are like stilts. So he's like low key hard to hit. And it just makes it annoying because his hitboxes are so disjointed, and it feels like at any point he can hit you, but at only a few points you can hit him, because he also is like flying around the arena, jumping on you and like spewing out some blue shit. It feels really awkward to fight this guy. Um, and I honestly don't even know much about the lore behind these things. I'm sure it's like really cool and unique because every fucking little detail about this game is super fleshed out, and you could probably find some item description somewhere giving the lore about this thing. Um, but yeah, it just doesn't feel good to fight this guy. I'm pretty sure he's resistant to magic. Um, so if you wanted to make it a ranged fight, then you'd probably have to use a bow or faith. So that already limits your options. And then the fact that it's not fun to fight him melee, it's like, yeah, you know. Moving on, if we continue down this timeline of, doing Ronnie's quest line, you talk to a few people, you go defeat Radon, and then the meteor strikes, and then you go underground to fight this deer thing. So if you continue down that quest line, then you fight Estelle. Um, Now, Estelle, I used to like this fight, but every time I fight Estelle, I grow to like him a little less and less. If you were to ask me like a couple years ago where I would rank Estelle, I would probably say Estelle is a B tier fight. Middle of B tier, middle of the pack fight. But he's still on like the upper end of the tier list. Now, I'm thinking Estelle is like a low C tier fight because um like now that I really think about it, all he really has going for him is that he looks really cool. He's one of the most unique looking bosses in the game. He's like this amalgamation of like he has a human skull, but he has like beetle forceps attached to his face, and he has like these huge just disjointed arms and legs, and then he has like a scorpion body and tail that he uses, but he's also like a space creature with wings. It's super interesting and unique looking. And he has like the eye in his forehead. Like he looks sick as fuck. But that's about all he has going for him. His fight, it feels really similar to the deer thing fight, but he has a weak point. The weak point is on his face. And if you hit him in the face, it does a lot more damage than hitting him in the legs or the body. So, like the point of the fight is you go to his face and you hit him a bunch and then he dies, right? But a lot of his moves are from the player's position of when he's in front of him. So, um, I don't know. A lot of his attacks are like AoE moves that are really weird to dodge. So the fight is constantly just like, oh hey, I walk up to your face, I hit you a few times. Oh shit, an AoE is coming. I gotta run away, like completely separate myself from you instead of just like doing a couple of rolls or something, dodge the move. It's like, okay, I have to actually completely get away from you. So the whole fight just boils down to like running back and forth between him, and then he'll teleport away, shoot a laser at you or something. I will admit he does have a couple of pretty cool moves. One of them is the fucking asteroid move where he just summons a ton of fucking meteors to rain down on you. That is always cool to fight, fun to fight, and also visually very cool. His laser move is pretty cool. Um, but a lot of the other moves he has, it's like, okay, he can like bite you with his beetle shits. He can hit you with his arms. The most annoying moves though is always when he does that like AoE explosion in front of him, or the other AoE where he like slams the ground and then like a bunch of gravity like waves appear. He has way too many AoE moves, is my point. And for a boss with a weak point mechanic, I feel like the AoE moves just make it really dissatisfying to fight. Um, I didn't. It's not like it's a struggle to fight this guy, but it's not really that enjoyable either. Um, I think I liked him so much in the past because I thought he looked so cool, and I still think he looks pretty cool. But objectively thinking about it, he's a C tier fight, and I think Renala is a little better of a fight because at least she has cool lore and she has a better looking arena. You know what I'm saying? Um, he's still better than the deer thing though. All right, now we move on to I don't even know. I don't even know. I'm gonna probably save this guy for like right here. That's Moog, Melania. Okay, I guess yeah. Now we can move on to Morgott. All right. You first encounter this guy actually at the beginning of the game. You have a completely different fight with him at the beginning, and his name is Margit. But it's not a duplicate fight, okay? It's not like they just copy and pasted Margit and then put him later in the game or something. Um, it fights different. It's a different arena, and he has different moves, so it's a completely different fight. When you encounter Morgott in the capital, he is much more athletic. He like runs around the arena, he flies around. He has a cool badass sword. The cutscene is super cool. The lore behind him is super interesting. He has a lot going for him, but I have two problems with this fight. One of them I kind of mentioned with how you encounter him earlier in the game, but that fight is different. But guess what? They have like a random duplicate Margit outside of the capital just randomly. Like, why do they feel the need to do that? That completely just took away from the normal Margit fight. You know what I'm saying? If it was just the first time you encounter him and then the second time it's in the capital fighting next to the tree, then if it was just those two times, then that's great. But they decided to include a third time, and it felt so random. It felt so unnecessary. It was like, what? Why? Um, but that's not even my main issue. The main issue with Morgott's fight is the power scaling of the game. All right? Because you can have two completely different experiences fighting this guy. If you start your game and let's say you kill Godric, you kill Renala, but you don't really do much exploring and you're like level 60 or like 65 or something, and you go into, the upper area of the game, the Altus Plateau, you start walking around there, going through the capital. Like if you head straight to Morgott, then you're going to have a tough time because he is one of the fastest bosses in the game. He has so many different combos. Like the bag he has is deep as hell. It's one of the most developed bosses in the entire game. He has such a crazy moveset. Um so if you encounter this guy early or you choose to go in there low level, then um you're going to have a tough time. This is going to be one of the hardest bosses in the game. But what ends up happening most of the time is that he usually ends up being really easy because you have at this point when you encounter him, you have access to like 80 or like 75% of the map, which gives you access to like 10 different remembrance bosses that you can, fight before Morgott and level up with. You can, use the remembrances to get more powerful. You can find tons of different armor sets throughout the map, tons of different dungeons and other bosses that you can use their souls to become more powerful. So a lot of the time, you end up fighting this guy, you're like level 100 or like level 110 or some shit. And at that point, it's like, okay, this guy is super easy. Another problem with his fight is that he's very scriptable, if that makes sense. He has very low poise, so if you hit him with a few heavy attacks, you stun him, and then you can knock him out of like one of his most powerful moves if you stun him again. Like he just has very low poise. It makes the fight very scriptable and predictable. Um, it's that's my main problem, honestly, with Morgott. It's just that he is too like the power scaling doesn't make sense. If Morgott had more health, I think this would be an amazing fight. If he had like, I don't know, let's say like 20,000 more HP, or maybe that's a little too much. If he just had a bigger health pool, you know what I'm saying? If you gave Morgott more time to do some of his bigger attacks instead of being able to just hit him out of it, you know what I'm saying? Just give him more poise and a bigger health pool, and this would be a flawless fight, I would say. But because you're able to encounter him, you could choose when you want to fight him. You could choose if you want to become super powerful. it just takes a ton away from the fight, I think. So he's not an S tier fight, even though he has so much going for him. I would probably say top of A tier for now. I don't know if I'm gonna feel like some other bosses are better, but top of A tier for now. Whoo! Now we move on to the big boys. All right. Now we have Rykart, the blasphemous or whatever his name is. Um, and I'll say it. This is the greatest gimmick fight in all of From Software history. What I mean by gimmick fight is I know you've probably been hearing me use this term throughout all of my tier list videos, but what I mean by gimmick fight is when a boss has some sort of puzzle to solve, or the game gives you an item that makes the boss like 10 times easier. Um, you know what I'm saying? So think gimmick fight, think Demon Souls, honestly. Like 90% of the bosses in Demon Souls are gimmick fights where you just have to solve a puzzle and the boss is dead, or you have to, maneuver to a certain point in the arena and do this thing, and then the boss becomes really weak, or you have to get an item and use that item against the boss and the boss is dead. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a gimmick fight. And Rykart is no exception. Rykart is a gimmick fight. And saying that would, I think, a lot of the time in people's brains make it think like, oh shit, it's a gimmick fight, it's gonna be ass. To be fair, it makes sense because a lot of the gimmick fights that From Software has, produced, a lot of them have been really boring, really trash, really shitty gimmicks, um, and just really underwhelming. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at you, Dragon God. Fuck you. And fuck your gimmick. Um, so when you call a boss a gimmick boss, it immediately in people's minds just lowers them on the tier list or like makes their opinion less of them. You know what I'm saying? But Rykart is an exception. Okay? Rykart's boss fight is gimmick fight perfection. They fucking killed it with the gimmick for this guy. So you know how throughout the Dark Souls games and um even like Sekiro and shit. There's like sometimes a boss where you have to like use a cool ass sword and kill the fucking boss with wind, like the Stormbreaker, I think it's called usually. You do that in Demon Souls, you do it in Dark Souls 3, you do it in Sekiro, against the Divine Dragon, you hit him with some wind. You know what I'm saying? Um and it's the same thing here. You pick up a spear. I forgot what it's called though. It's called like the God Slaying Spear or something. And you're able to use it only when you're inside of Rykart's arena is it like activated and powerful. But you're able to use it, with like the wind. You know what I'm saying? You're able to kill Rykart using like storm abilities on the weapon. And I think it's perfect. I think it's perfect because Rykart is so visually stunning. He's this huge, like, hunk snake thing with a face on the underside of it. And the first phase, you're fighting the snake. It doesn't talk. And he's like spitting poison at you. He's trying to hit you with his face. He's trying to grab you and bite you. Um, the moveset isn't too, you know, crazy. He has like 5 or 6 different moves in the first phase, but it's enough. You know what I'm saying? It gets you used to the storm using the Stormbreaker during the fight, and it gets you used to the arena, which is beautiful, by the way. One of the prettiest arenas in the entire game. You're inside of a volcano. You're under a ton of lava, and it's all like hanging chandeliers, all huge pillars of bodies and like skeletons, and it all leads up to this just fucking mountain of a boss. It's so fucking pretty. And fighting this thing is amazing. I think whenever you have like a ginormous boss, it's low key like if you don't make it a gimmick fight, then you're susceptible to having the boss be very exploitable. But the fact that this is a gimmick fight and the boss is so big, it complements each other super well. Like you're able to see the entire boss the entire time as you're fighting him because you're always so far away when you fight him. Because he's surrounded by lava. Um, So it's like you're able to stay at range, you're able to see the boss, you're able to appreciate the beauty while you fight him. So it makes the fight so cinematic. It's one of the most cinematic fights in the entire game. Um, if I if I wasn't so objective, I would rank this guy like top three. Like if you were to ask me like what my favorite bosses are in Elden Ring, I would say Rykart is top three. He's probably my third favorite boss in the game. So that's why he's going at the top of S tier. I think he's better than Radahn. Oh no, a gimmick fight better than Radahn? Bro, I'm telling you, if you haven't fought Rykart, fight Rykart because his first phase, yeah, it's the snake, but the second phase, he has like 10 more moves. He fucking pulls a. The cutscene is disgusting and I love it. He pulls a fucking sword out of his throat, and the sword is just covered in just fucking illness and fucking dead bodies and blood. And he fucking just sends fire and the fucking sky starts raining explosive skulls, and it's like holy shit. The first time I ever fought this guy, I don't mean to brag, but the first time I ever fought Rykart, I beat him first try. But the first attempt I took to beat him, it took like 10 minutes to fight him. I swear to God. The boss dragged because I was just constantly being fucking chased down by these exploding skulls raining from the sky. And I had to also dodge all of the fucking sword attacks that he was doing in the second phase. And on top of that, he was doing the big old blasphemous blade attack. Like, dude, the boss fight is has you on the edge of your seat the entire time. It's so fucking thrilling to fight this guy. And then when I beat him the first try, I was like, "Holy fuck, I just experienced peak." I literally just experienced peak. If I could go back and like relive that for the first time, I would do it so badly. It's one of the best moments I've ever had with these games ever. Like it's so fucking it felt so fucking good to fight this guy. So maybe it's a little bit biased when I rank him, but it's my fucking tier list. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. He's S tier, top of S tier, the best boss we've ranked so far. Um, uh, anyway, let me calm down a little bit. Moving on, we have Fortisax. I think that's his name. The Lich Dragon. Yeah, his name's Fortisax. Yeah. So, um, this would be the first Remembrance Dragon fight that you would encounter in the game. He's a little bit hidden because honestly, like a lot of the bosses we've ranked so far are optional. You know, the deer thing, Estelle, Rykart is optional as well. And Fortisax is also an optional boss. You have to go down to the deep root depths, I think it is. Uh and the area itself is honestly kind of but the fight is pretty good. And um the visuals of it all, like when you fight him and you're looking up at the sky, you just see all of these like t- I can't even describe it. Fortisax fight. Like look at the sky when you fight him, and like he's using lightning. He's so fucking cool. He's just so cool. Like look at this. You fight him next to like a dying tree and like a bunch of like death root and shit. So the lore about Fortisax is really cool. How he was like friends with what's his name? Godwin the Golden, or was it Godfrey? I think it was Godwin. The Godwin the Goldman, the guy who was assassinated, and his body was left to rot, and that's how the death root spawned. And the dragon is there, laying next to the death root, so now the dragon is able to do death blight buildup. It's really really cool and really interesting. Um, and the moveset is really cool. I think the biggest complaint I have with this fight is that at the end of the day, he's just an ancient dragon with like a couple extra moves, which is a little disappointing. Because first of all, ancient dragons are like the worst ones to fight. They're always so annoying. Their bodies are like so skinny and their necks are so long. Dragons, their weak point is always their head, but it feels like ancient dragons never actually lower their head for you to attack them. Other dragons, it's more fun because they give you a chance to hit them back and trade, but it feels like lich dragons, ancient dragons are always just standing way too tall and like firing at you from range. It's so annoying. And Fortisax does that. He's an ancient dragon, and he does that a lot. But I will say those couple extra moves that they add make the fight so much better than the average ancient dragon fight. The fucking move where he flies up in the air, summons the fucking lightning, and then spins around the arena. The fucking like literally, you saw it. Look at this. Only Fortisax can do this. Only Fortisax can do this. It's so fucking cool. Um, and when you kill him, you actually unlock this move too, where you fucking slam lightning spears into the ground. So fucking cool. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, he is just an ancient dragon with a couple extra moves. But um, he's fun to fight. Okay, he's a lot more fun to fight than your average ancient dragon, I think. And the visual of it all is cool. The arena is super pretty. The lore is really cool. This guy's B tier. All right, our first B tier boss. So I don't want to fucking hear it. Um, Moving on. Now we have Moog. Moog. This guy's top five. This guy's top five. All right, I'll say it. Um, let's just get right to it. Moog is S tier. Oh, is he better than Radahn though? I think so. I don't know. It's hard to say. It is really hard to say. This is just personal bias, but I think Rykart is still at the top of S tier. But Moog is a really close second right now, I think. And so is, it could be Radahn though. I don't know. Um, I think I just like Moog's moveset a little more. I like the way he talks, like the cutscene. I think is pretty cool. So is Radahn's though. It's really hard to say. It's a toss up between who's better between Moog and Radahn for me. Um, But Moog, I love his moveset. I think the problem that I had with Radahn, like how he's like just slightly too big for his own good, and it makes some of the fight like really weird for the camera. Moog doesn't have this problem. Moog is a good size for the camera. You can see all of him, and when you fight him, it isn't like awkward or confusing. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why I give the slight edge to Moog. I also just like the blood incantations. I just love the visuals of those, like the flaming blood incantations that he spews at you. I just like that. So, um, yeah, Moog, S tier. Um, his arena, how you fight him in like this like Colosseum, like this like run down like Roman ruin. It looks like that's like if you go to Rome, you would see something like Moog's arena. You know what I'm saying? Um, Moog fight. Like look at like doesn't this look like something you'd find in Rome? Like it looks like you're fighting him in some sort of ancient building. Um and like the sky in the background is like stars. Super fucking cool. Not this one. Oh my god, that just reminded me that he's been fucking duplicated. There's a duplicate version of him later or earlier in the game. It's so fucking stupid. But like look at the sky when you fight him. It's like all star. It's like a starlit night. It's so fucking cool. Um, and I will say the whole gimmick that he can just take all of your health is annoying, and he heals off of it too. But there is a way around it. If you have that crystal tier thing, I guess you could say that that makes him a gimmick fight, but it's not entirely a gimmick. You still fight him straight up. It's just that that phase transition is a little annoying, but it's worth it because the second phase of Moog's fight is so fucking cool, so fucking awesome. So Moog is S tier. He's right here. Woo! Damn, we're going with some heavy hitters right now. Next, we have Melania. Now, this may be a hot take, but Melania is not an S tier fight. All right, I'll say it. In terms of like fun, in terms of the fun factor, I would rather fight all of these guys before I would fight Melania. And listen, this is gonna sound stupid, and it's gonna sound like a skill issue, but um, her fight is like 99% good. The arena is really pretty, how it's like covered in flowers and like the Mikola tree thing in the background. It's really pretty. And the lore is super interesting. The soundtrack is amazing. Um her her moveset is really cool. It's really fucking fun to fight her, how fast she is. She just has one move. Just one move that takes the fight entirely down a peg. And it's the waterfowl dance. I'm sure we're all familiar with it. It's the infamous waterfowl dance. And it's not that I fucking suck at the game. I promise you, I'm not bad. But it's the fact that it feels like the entire fight is built around that move. When you first, start the fight, she doesn't use that move at all. You have to get her down to like a certain health. And it feels like half of the time she uses the move, she like baits you into it. She's like all of a sudden, she's like swiping at you, but then she like steps back and then she like is calmed down and it feels like she's gonna be more passive. So you charge at her and then she jumps in the air and then she does the waterfowl dance. It feels like she baits you into it. And the majority of the fight's difficulty is built around that one move. So it feels a little artificially difficult, if that makes sense. Like they just put a bullshit move in there and they completely built the fight's difficulty surrounding that move. Like how well can we bait the player into this attack? How well can Melania use this move against the player? That's, I feel like, where a majority of the difficulty comes from in this fight. And that's not fun. Artificial difficulty is never fun. You know what I'm saying? It's been done throughout all of the games. Um and this boss is no exception. When I sense artificial difficulty, it just doesn't feel good. You know what I'm saying? It always feels unfair. It always feels like, oh, they just added this thing just to make this fight more difficult. You know what I'm saying? That's artificial difficulty. You know what I'm saying? Like in Dark Souls 2, how they put fucking 10 enemies around one corner so they can make getting through the area more difficult. Like that's not fun. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you just have one or two enemies that are like really tough? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you just need to have 10 of the same enemy? It's just, I don't know. It makes the fight feel less authentic. And that's how I feel about Melania. I think if you removed that move, the fight would still be very difficult. Don't get me wrong. The fight would still be very difficult, but it would feel a lot more rewarding. You know what I'm saying? Instead of like, dude, only like 1% of the Elden Ring population knows how to completely dodge that move like super cleanly, okay? I don't even know how to do it, all right? I know it's possible, but I just don't know how to do it. And a lot of people don't know how to do it either. So every time she uses the move, you're gonna get hit at least a few times. And so you're probably gonna have to use a flask or two every time she uses that move. So like it's like what the fuck am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? Even like in the phase 2, she has a couple of moves that are super difficult and tough to dodge, but those feel more fair than the waterfowl dance. So I just think if you didn't have that move, or maybe if you just tweaked it a little bit, then like this fight would be so much better. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the few examples in this game where the difficulty actually takes away from the fight. And it's not even that like the boss, oh, it's just too hard for me. No, it's the fact that the entire fight's difficulty is based around one move, and it feels really cheap. You know? So Melania is not S tier. She's the top of A tier though. She's better than Morgott. All right. Um, Now that we've gone past that hot take, we move on to the fire giant, or not even the fire giant. His name is just Fire Giant. Feels a little weird that he doesn't get a name, but whatever. Fire Giant, and you know how I was talking about the Reichardt fight, and how I was saying that the bigger the boss is, um, generally the more camera difficulties you're gonna have, like with seeing the boss's moves. If you're locked onto a certain point of the boss, then like the camera's gonna be fucking flipping around, making it really confusing and awkward. But Reichardt made up for it by turning that fight into a gimmick, forcing you to always be looking at his entire body. You know what I'm saying? So Reichardt was able to work around his size. Fire Giant is one of those things that it's not a gimmick fight, so you're not forced to be like away from the Fire Giant when you're fighting him. Um, and because of that, you know, it if you're a melee character, or you're gonna be using melee moves, then the fight turns into just a toe picking simulator. Literally, like just an ankle picking simulator where you run up to the Fire Giant's feet, you just fucking attack his feet a few times, and then he does like a rolling around move or like a slam move you gotta run away from. You run away and then you turn around, you come back in, attack his feet a few more times, and then you pretty much do that until he keels over and dies. That's how a majority of fights go with the Fire Giant, and it kind of sucks because Fire Giant's moveset is actually pretty developed. If you fight him, like let's say you choose to use range, like you're choosing to use magic. If if you fight him like that, where you're at a distance firing fucking um, gravity stones at him or firing some lightning at him, or you're using a bow or something, if you fight him like that, it is a much better fight, a much more entertaining fight, because then he's allowed to use his entire moveset, which is like blasting fireballs at you, which is like summoning those like fucking like fireball fell god spell things. The move where like he uses his stomach to breathe fire at you, or like shoot fucking volcanic rock out into the sky. Like that is all super fucking cool and super fucking awesome to witness. But a lot of the time, you're not going to be staying at range when you fight this guy. So it's a lot of the time you're not going to see really any of those moves, and it's just going to be you're only going to be able to see like one or two of his moves, and it's going to be the one or two moves that he has that those stomping moves, the close range moves. If his move set was a little more developed in the close range aspect, like if he had like a slide back and slam or something that forces you away from him, um, then maybe the fight would be a little better. But this guy is way too big for his own good. Um, and it takes away from the actual um the way that the fight plays. But he still has a ton of redeeming qualities. The the cutscene when he fucking tears his foot off, sacrifices it to the fucking gods, and becomes more powerful. I think it's rumored, like, and it's like rumored, I don't know if it's confirmed, that when he does that, he sacrifices his foot to become more powerful. He summons like the frenzied flame within him and becomes an avatar of the god frenzied flame. You know what I'm saying? And that's when he becomes super powerful. Which so that's fucking awesome. You fight him on a snowy mountaintop at the peak of the game, the tallest point of the game. You know what I'm saying? You're fighting him there with the fucking glowing Erd tree in the background, so that's sick. Um, the visual, not just the arena, but the way he looks, how fucking massive he is. It's always fun to fight a just ginormous boss just because the visual is always going to be stunning. It's always going to be that David and Goliath feeling where you feel insignificant, but you somehow overcome the odds. Like, that is always going to be satisfying. You know what I'm saying? So, this fight, it has a ton going for it. You know what I'm saying? And if you fight him, um, the proper way, I guess you could say, or the correct way, staying at range, using range spells, using a bow or something, then the fight is a lot more fun than fighting him melee. But a majority of people are using melee characters. You know, they're using swords, they're using cool fucking scythes or katanas and shit. So people are gonna want to fight melee when they fight this guy. So it just feels like they didn't take that into account when making this character or making this boss. So he's gonna go C tier because that does take a lot away from his fight. Um, just how it fights and how it feels. But he's at the top of C tier. He's definitely better than Renala and Estelle. Moving on. Um, ooh, you know who's not here is Radagon, and I want to rank Radagon and the Elden Beast separately. So Radagon, yeah. Hold on, um let me fucking just real quick. Let me just block this out. Just wanted to add Radagon. There we go. Because I want to rank Radagon and the Elden Beast separately. It's because they just are completely different fights. So that's all. That's all I wanted to do. Even though technically they're the same fight, you know, Elden Beast is phase 2 of Radagon. It just feels weird. Okay, it feels weird. I don't like it. But yeah. Next we have Malekith, the Black Blade, Destined Death. Here's another S tier fight. Oh my god, we have some S tier fights coming up. This is crazy. Um, Malekith is another S tier fight, and the lore behind Malekith is super cool. You know, he's the Black Blade, the controller of Destined Death. You know, he had the Rune of Death stolen from him by Ronnie to kill Godwyn, and you know he swore to always protect Destined Death from then out from then, and because he made that oath or whatever to America, he becomes consumed by death, and he's always feasting for it. You know, earlier in the game, you can encounter him. Well, he's called the cleric or whatever, the cleric beast, and you feed him death root to satiate his hunger and everything. But you can tell he's like losing his mind. And when you encounter him during the boss fight, if you did his quest line, then he has a different dialogue. You know what I'm saying? If you normally encounter him, then he'll just I don't think he'll say anything, or he'll say like "foolish tarnish" or something. Um, but if you do his quest line and then um fight him, he'll feel like a little betrayed. He'll be like, "Tarnished? Is that you? Why must you fight me?" It's like, what? It's just a little, you know, detail that's really fucking cool. The lore is sick. He looks cool. The first phase he's just covered in rags, but when he fucking pulls that fucking sword out from his hand from the rune of death that's on his hand, and he sheds his rags, and he's like this fucking big wolf covered in armor using a sword. So fucking cool. It's so cool. Um, yeah, I like you want to use one word to describe this fight, it's cool. You could probably use that word for like a lot of these games. Just describe them as cool. Like all of the cutscenes, all of the dialogue, it's all so vague and mysterious, but the visuals and it's all there and it's the fighting and it's so fucking epic and it's cool, you know? So this guy is a fucking cool boss. Um, Fighting him, the first phase, it's just it's just his normal attacks from if you were to fight him, you know, if you did his quest line. Um, he uses like all of those like stone throwing attacks, all of those like rock things. He has like the Cincadilla, I think it's called Cincadilla, the dagger. He uses that thing. Um, he makes it look like an amazing weapon, but when you use it in real life, you know, for yourself, it's mid. um, but the second fight of or the second phase of this fight is where it really shines, and it's so fucking epic to see him jump across those pillars and send destined death at you. All of his attacks, or a lot of his attacks, they take a chunk away from your health bar because that's what destined death does. So fucking cool. Um, and the blade that he uses looks so sick. Like it's just visually and mechanically amazing. Um, yeah, I really don't know what else to say. This fight is S tier, and I'm probably gonna rank him below Radon. I think Radon's a little better. Um, but Malakath is up there. He's in the middle of the pack, S tier. Um, moving on, or I guess technically you fight Placidusax first, or Placidusax first, but whatever. You fight them both in the same area, and you fight them back to back, so it's like whatever. Moving on to Placidusax. Um, he's also S tier. Oh fuck, I don't even know where to put him though. Um, I think Rykart. I think I like the visuals of Rykart better. It's more epic. Moog. I think I'm gonna put him between Moog and Radon. This used to be my favorite fight in the entire game before the DLC. Like back in like 2022 when I was playing this game. Um, this used to be my favorite fight just because I loved dragons. I mean, I still love dragons. Okay, dragons are awesome. And I felt like this game really had amazing dragon fights, and this was like the pinnacle of dragon fights in this game. Um, so and I still feel that way. I still feel like this is an amazing dragon fight, but fighting him over and over again, like now that I've had more time to sink my teeth into the fight and into the fight's mechanics and everything, there are a couple small flaws. Um, we'll start with the negatives first because there's a lot more positives than negatives. I feel like the big problem with this guy is that, like a lot of other bosses, he's just a little too big for his own good. Um, there's a lot of like pockets on his body that you can just like stay in and you'll probably be safe from a lot of his attacks. You just hit him, in his fucking stomach or on his tail and you'll be fine for the most part. He does have like a couple of attacks that negate that sort of playstyle, and he is a very mobile boss, so if you get under his skin or whatever, he'll just teleport away or whatever. So he does make up for it, but he's still like not the fastest, you know what I'm saying? Like you could still exploit that. um, and like I said, he's a little too big, so sometimes if you're like attacking his chest or his feet or something, and you won't notice something is happening off screen, it's hard to read his telegraphs. Um, but that's probably like my biggest problem with the fight. Uh, it doesn't take too much away from the overall fight because, like I said, he's still very mobile, and he'll still try to like face you. You know what I'm saying? He'll make his best effort to face you, which is nice. Um, the positives, phenomenal. I can go on and on about how fucking great this fight is. First of all, the cutscene, so sick. One of the best cutscenes in the entire game. No dialogue needed. You just fucking lay down, and all of a sudden time stops, and then starts moving backwards. And then you discover that the tornado is reshaping the whole fucking Farum Azula area, and then by the end of the cutscene, this whole coliseum is formed, and you discover that you've just been teleported back into like the ancient dragon times. Um, Placidusax, and like look at this arena. It's so fucking sick. You fight him on this just like it's just a big fucking circle of beautiful architecture and a storm in the background. It looks so fucking cool. The cutscene is sick. Um, the soundtrack is amazing. The lore of Placidusax, you discover a lot more about him in the DLC, but I'm gonna spoil it right now. He had this fight with Bale, the Dread, a long time ago, a fight for power, and they both did a number to each other. So when you walk up to him, Placidusax is supposed to have three heads, but he only has two, and he's like missing a part of his tail, and he can't fly very well. Um, It's like it's like so sick looking at this injured dragon still be very powerful. You know what I'm saying? And then when you go fight Bale, you see that Bale is missing a fucking leg and a part of his wings, and he's very deformed as well. You know what I'm saying? So when you discover that these two fought so long ago, you now it's like now you know why these two are deformed. They had some fucking epic battle a long ass time ago. And Bale, fun fact, actually still has Placidusax's head, I think, on his back or something. You know what I'm saying? He keeps it there as like a trophy. It's sick. Um, but yeah, Placidusax looks cool himself. A fucking multi-headed dragon is always sick. And the fight, oh my god, the actual fight is amazing. He has so many memorable moves. Like the first time I fought him, I just remembered loving the whole fucking fight. The from his like summoning lightning and lightning striking everywhere as you're hitting him. It's so cool. And then he teleports away and like the music stops and then you hear like lightning behind you and you turn around, this cloud of lightning is coming at you, and then he tries to fucking hit you and swipe. You dodge it, he teleports away, and then he teleports in front of you, hits you again, and then he teleports away, and then he did like the storm cloud teleporting was so fucking cool. And then he also has this one move where he fucking puts a spear into the ground. This lightning spear, he fucking makes it build up. You see it's about to be a powerful attack, and then he fucking slams it, and then a fucking nuke goes off that covers half of the arena. Like he gives you like 20 seconds to run away from it, but still, like it's the visual of it that just looks insane. And the sound, like when it goes off, the sound, it just sounds fucking phenomenal. Oh my god. And then he also, the best move, he also has an attack where he starts breathing fire around him, and then the fire turns into fucking lasers, and his two heads start shooting two lasers simultaneously, and they like interweave and they go across the entire arena. It's so visually peak. Oh my god, I cannot get enough of this guy's moveset. It's always so fun to fight Placidusax. And I think that was the main reason why he used to be my favorite and I would like overlook the flaws that he had. It was just because I loved the laser move. I loved the nuke, the lightning nuke move that he had. I loved the teleporting around. You know what I'm saying? It was all just so fucking cool to me. He is still one of the best fights in the game. Um, but now that I fought him a lot more since 2022, I can look at him through a more objective lens. Um, and say he's not the best fight anymore, but he's still amazing. He is S tier. All right, he is S tier. Moving on. After you kill those two guys, Malekith and Placidusax, you get teleported back to the capital, and you see that the tree's burning down and the capital is covered in ash now. And you go, and basically at this point in the game, it's like a boss rush. You fight fucking uh, Sir Gideon Ofnir, who's like a complete joke, and then you fight Godfrey, and then you fight the final boss. So, like all in a row. The Godfrey fight is really, really good. Really, really good. Um, the first phase, I will say, it's a little weird fighting the first phase because you fought a version of him in the capital a long ass time ago. You fought like his ghost or something. And the first phase is pretty much that fight with maybe like a couple extra moves. Um, Like he does have a move where he like slams his axe into the ground and fucking turns the whole arena into an earthquake. That's sick. But the rest of his move set is pretty much the same as that like ghost that you fought. But the second phase is where it really shines. And the cutscene happens. He fucking kills his name's Sarash, the lion that he's been using. Fucking kills Sarash, tears his clothes off. He's covered in blood and scars. And he throws his axe to the side and he's like, "Face me!" It's funny because all of these other, demigods and people fucking they become more powerful in their second phase. They summon a better version of themselves, or like they grow wings, or they start unlocking some different shit. But Godfrey, all he does is just take off his clothes, throw his axe to the side, and fucking puts his dukes up. He's like, "Come at me!" I always thought that was so funny. But he becomes scary as fuck. Like, the way he starts his phase two, if you get hit by that first attack, it's always the same first attack, but if you get hit by it, he fucking sends you up in the air and fucking WWE body slams you, throws you down into the fucking arena. He has so many fucking crazy moves. Like he's just swinging. He fucking grabs you, throws you, fucking slams you into the ground. Like he becomes like the embodiment of just anger. And it's so fucking cool, especially knowing that he's just a tarnished. You know what I'm saying? He's just human. You know what I'm saying? Like you fought all of these other gods, and this guy, all he needed was his two hands, and that he got to this point. Like it's actually pretty inspiring fighting this guy. And when you finally kill him, it's like your strength befits a crown. It's like, damn, like even he recognizes real. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn. So this fight is amazing from the lore to the visual. You know, the burning Erd tree in the background as you fight him, super sick. The move set is amazing. Um, so this is an S tier fight, and when it comes to all of these S tier fights, holy shit, we have a lot. And when it comes to like which do I think is better, it pretty much just comes down to personal preference, which is my personal favorite. You know what I'm saying? Which fight do I personally like better? And I feel like that's what a lot of the best fights in the game are going to boil down to. Because you can ask anybody about these bosses, and they'll probably say that, you know, they think Malekith is the best. They think Radahn is the best. You can ask a ton of different people about any of these bosses that I'm about to put in S and A tier, and they're probably gonna give you a different answer as to who they think is the best. You know what I'm saying? That's how good these fights are. That there's always like a constant debate and conversation about who's the best. You know what I'm saying? So I think Godfrey. Um, I really can't think of a reason why he's not. Actually, you know what? I can think of a reason why he's not S tier, and it's because of that first phase. And I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just nitpicking. But I really don't feel. I feel like I have more fun fighting Godric. Is that like crazy to say? Um, I don't know why. I'm not a huge fan of his first phase. He does have a couple moves that I really liked, like the fucking earthquake move, but a lot of the moves that he uses in his first phase are the exact same from when you fought his ghost. And like by the way, his ghost that you fight earlier in the game is a required boss. So it's not a remembrance boss, but you do have to fight it in order to progress. So when you go and finally fight Godfrey, it's like the first phase is like, oh, it's just this fight again. You know what I'm saying? It feels a little weird. So I think I'm probably gonna put him in A tier. I'm probably gonna put him right here. Between Morgott and Melania. I just like fighting. I like fighting all of these other bosses better than um him. So then, after you defeat Godfrey, you move on to the final boss. Now, I've separated the final boss into two different sections because the first phase is Radagon, and then the second phase is the Elden Beast. And it feels really unfair to rank these two as one to me because they're so different. Um, I will say they made the second phase of the fight a lot better. Um, using being able to use the fucking horse and everything, but it doesn't compare to to Radagon, I think. So I'm gonna be ranking phase one of the final boss and phase two of the final boss separately. But starting with phase one, you have Radagon, who I think is probably an A tier fight. This is a great fight. He's a humanoid boss, so he's around your size. You know what I'm saying? He's not too big for the camera or anything. It doesn't make it awkward to fight him. Um, and like he has a lot of cool different moves. Um, like I think if the phase two of this fight was just a super upgraded version of Radagon, like he just unlocks some crazy moveset, then I think the fight, or maybe like you fight Marika and Radagon. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like they could have had a lot more potential with this guy. They could have done a lot more with Radagon, but he's still a great fight as it is right now. So I'm probably gonna put him in. I think, is he better than Godfrey? I think so. I like him a little better than Godfrey. I'm gonna put Radagon in A tier. Um, the visual, his arena's a little boring. You're fighting him inside the Erd but it's really just like a stone platform you fight him on. It's nothing too special. The soundtrack is peak. It takes the title music, the main menu, the main theme of Elden Ring, and it remixes it into like this even more epic version of the song, even though it was already pretty fucking epic. It's great. And then the move set is also really fun. He's teleporting around, shooting holy lightning bolts at you. He has a ton of good AOE's that are visually cool. Slamming the ground with his hammer, doing a bunch of that holy like, um, fucking ground shattering stuff. Really fucking cool. But then you defeat Radagon, and then the cutscene I will say is pretty cool between Radagon and the Elden Beast. You see like a bunch of black spread around the arena, and this arm reach out of the ground and like fucking consume Radagon. And then fun fact, actually, you can see Radagon's body on the sword that the Elden Beast uses. That sword that's used for rune farming all the time. The Sacred Relic Greatsword, I think it's called. Here. Oops. Yeah, if you get a close look at it, this is yeah. Fucking really? Okay. Well, there's Radagon. Radagon's body is on the hilt of the sword, and his spine is running up the blade. So that's all I wanted to show you. Which is a cool detail. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna give you a bunch of issues I have with the second phase of the final boss, the Elden Beast. Um, First of all, where's the setup? Like, who the fuck is the Elden Beast? Throughout the entire game, you're learning about Radagon, you're learning about Marika, you're learning about Godfrey, you're learning about all of these cool names and shit, and you're learning a ton about their backstory, who they are, what they've done, and all of a sudden you kill Radagon. It's like, holy shit, I did it. And then randomly this fucking Elden Beast, this cosmic being shows up out of nowhere. Like he had no setup throughout the entire game. There's very little reference to the Elden Beast throughout any of Elden Ring. You know what I'm saying? There's maybe like a couple of item descriptions that maybe reference the Elden Beast or some sort of cosmic being. You know what I'm saying? You hear about the greater will, you hear about that like sort of god, but you don't hear a thing about the Elden Beast or that the greater will has like some sort of avatar like the Elden Beast that's fighting or something. You know what I'm saying? There's no setup to him in terms of the lore, which is why I think maybe they thought it was like a really cool twist. Like, hey, who is this Elden Beast guy? Like, who is he? This is a crazy twist. No, no, it's not too crazy. Um, it feels like he has no setup and there's nothing about him. Um, and visually, he doesn't look like anything crazy. Obviously, he has like this tree, like he has the tree roots inside of him, and he's like this purple cosmic being. It's interesting. It reminds me actually of the first time I fought him, and I was with my friends fighting him, and one of my friends was like, "So you're fighting a space dick, and that's the final boss?" And I was like, "Oh my god, now I can't unsee it, dude. Look at the Elden Beast, dude." He was like, "So you're just fighting a space dingaling?" I'm like, "God fucking damn it. It is a space dick, dude. Like like fuck." Um but yeah, like it's just real unfortunate. Um that's how he looks. I will say the first time I fought him, I've been on this train. Okay, I was the one who came up with the idea. When I first fought him, I was like, okay, he keeps like running away. He has all of these ranged moves. He has all of these like moves that you're able to like jump over and everything. Why wouldn't you want to fight him on Torrent? Especially because the arena is so fucking massive. You know what I'm saying? You're able to fight Radon on Torrent, and that arena is huge. You know what I'm saying? Um, like you're able to fight the Fire Giant on Torrent. That arena's huge. That boss is big as fuck too. Like why make an exception for this boss? Especially because Torrent has been there for you throughout the entire game. It would only feel right to finish the game while riding Torrent. You know what I'm saying? Your best buddy. So if it's in my mind, it was like why don't they add Torrent to this boss fight? I feel like it would make the boss fight better, not only because it feels better fighting with Torrent, because he's your buddy, but also a lot of the moves you're able to jump over, and it would be a lot more satisfying to, jump over those little rings that he makes appear on the floor with Torrent. You know what I'm saying? Because Torrent has a double jump. I guess they listened to me because then when the DLC came out, they made a few tweaks to the base game and they added Torrent to the final boss. And if I were to rank this boss before they added Torrent, I would put him in probably the top of D tier. But because they added torrents, that actually makes this boss fight a lot more enjoyable. I'm gonna put him at the bottom of B tier now. Like genuinely, the like torrent adds so much to this fight because the the way the boss fights, it's so annoying to fight him on foot. He has like when you start the fight, he breathes fire and shit, but then he immediately runs away and casts like a spell, and he's like flying through the air and shit. And then he like teleports all the way across the arena and sends like those arcs of light at you. Um, and then like he'll come up to you to do like a little combo, and then he'll swim away. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels like he's always running, and he's like 10 times more mobile than you are. And running on your feet trying to fight him just felt like, oh my god, it feels like I'm fucking running through quicksand fighting this guy. And it feels like trying to chase a cheetah. You know what I'm saying? It's like what the fuck? Um, oh my god. But luckily, they added Torrent, and Torrent is obviously faster than you are on your feet. So, fighting this guy on Torrent, making this a more mobile fight, it feels a lot better. And also, like I said, you can jump over a lot of his attacks, so it's super satisfying to do that with Torrent. Um, adding Torrent just did so much for this fight. Um, still, still though, I don't like the fact that he has basically no setup. Like, if you took the Elden Beast completely away from the game, it would do nothing to the game's lore or any of the base game in terms of like gameplay, exploration, or lore, like anything. It wouldn't do anything to this game if you just deleted the Elden Beast fight. You know what I'm saying? And that's like, what? Then why do you have it? You know what I'm saying? If it's not going to change anything, and if there's no references to it throughout the lore, like what's the point of having this guy? There's like no setup. You know what I'm saying? And the actual fight itself is still pretty frustrating. Um, like that one move he has where he spawn like the Elden Stars, that spell where he spawns that spell, and dude, that shit is so fucking annoying. Um, it's still pretty cool though. Seeing him swipe the sword, like it's still pretty fun. For the most part, he just has a few bullshit moves and he's always running away. Um, but I will say, fighting him on torrent is a lot more fun than fighting him on foot. So the new version of this fight, I would rank bottom of B tier. I think the dragon's a little better. And that is the base game of Elden Ring, all done. Um, now we move on to the DLC. So, the first fight most people would encounter in the DLC is this guy, the Dancing Lion. And in my most recent playthrough of Elden Ring, the one that I streamed, I struggled a little bit fighting this guy. Well, first of all, I went immediately up to him. I didn't really grab that many what's it called? Shadow Tree fragments. I was also using a new build, the Beast Claws, which was it was not very effective against him. I didn't I probably could have chose a better weapon. So my build wasn't the best. I didn't do a lot of exploration in the DLC yet, and I could have definitely handled the fight a lot better. So he actually ended up being pretty challenging when I fought him on stream. But I'm not gonna let that take away from the fight. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna let that actually affect my rating. Um, because I still think that this is a really good fight, a really strong start to the DLC. He looks really cool. He's called like the Divine Dancing Lion, and he looks sick. It's like he has like those fucking two sets of teeth, like one human, one beast, and it's like what the fuck? Why does it look like that? His jaw is like unhinged. You can tell that he's like some sort of like dead thing that they're just summoning back again to fight me or some it's like some weird shit is going on with this guy. Like that's what you can tell. Um, so he looks cool. The arena's kind of basic. Um, you just fight him in this like square stone arena, and but the actual fight itself is really fun. There's a ton of really cool moves. It's really fun to dodge. My big problem with this guy is that you lock onto him and you're only locked onto his face. There's a ton of moves where he like rises up where like his body is still on the ground but his face is above. So like you're looking up and then it's like you can't really tell where you are. You know what I'm saying? There's a ton of moves where he's like spinning around and super mobile, and like the camera's flipping back and forth. It feels like a lot of the fight is it's like you're fighting the camera, which is not fun. Um, I will say though, getting into his second phase where he starts summoning lightning, he starts summoning ice and wind. That's all sick. My least favorite is the lightning. About all of his fucking moves have lightning follow-up attacks. So if he fucking rolls around, a trail of lightning is going to follow him. So you can't really ever, properly hit him without getting hit by lightning. So that feels a little shit, but that's just a nitpick. I still think he's a great fight. He's just the camera's just super weird with the fight, honestly. Um, so that's probably my biggest complaint. It's just that the camera is just super weird and uncomfortable. So I'd probably put this guy probably at the bottom of A tier. I think Morgott's a little better to fight, even though he has like a scaling issue. Um, this guy I think is a little worse than Morgott, but he's still A tier. Oh, delicious. Love water. Drink your water. All right, drink it. Okay, now we move on to Rilana, not Renala. We're fighting her sister now, Rilana. And Rilana is a much better fight than Renala. Okay, let's get it started. Renala is not a good fight compared to her sister. All right, Rolana's A tier, and um, fuck, I think I might put her just below Melania. I think Rolana is A tier, but not. There's two things I have um for Rolana. And first of all, there's no cutscene, no dialogue, not really any setup to the fight. You do learn more about Rolana later in the DLC, but the actual setup to the fight beforehand, there's not much to know about her. Um, the arena is like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like a little cool square stone area again, but there's like water in the middle. It's interesting, I guess, but not really too interesting. It just feels like um the fight itself doesn't match the setup to the fight. There's no lore, no cutscene to set her up. She doesn't even speak. You know what I'm saying? And the arena is super basic. So she has like everything else is like just kind of mid, but the fight itself is phenomenal. Like the actual fight, when the gameplay of the fight and her fighting mechanics are amazing. She has so many different moves, so many different combos to memorize. Um, and then she has like a phase two where she one sword on fire, one sword is magic, kind of like Pontiff Sullivan, and she starts wielding both, and she starts doing all these different moves that have like flame follow-up attacks. She has like these blue magic arcs that she sends towards your way. She has a move where she turns into twin moons, not just one, but two moons, and she slams the ground. It's crazy. Like the fight itself is super crazy. It's just that there's no cutscene to match. There's no dialogue even. It's like the fight is so epic, it just comes out of nowhere. It feels like, you know what I'm saying? Where there should be a setup to this fight. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like everything else about the fight is lacking and doesn't compare to the actual fight itself. So that's why she's not S tier. Because at least Melania had a cutscene and she has a ton of lore behind her. But you know, what is what does Rolana have? Castle Ensis? Like, really? Moving on. Moving on to the Putrescent Knight, I think he's called. He's this goop guy. He's covered in goo, and his horse is goo, and he's like a skeleton goop. It's weird. I don't know. The design isn't very compelling. You know what I'm saying? Uh, the fight though is pretty fun, and I don't know. It's a little annoying. Some of the hitboxes are weird. The way the second phase goes with this guy, like with the blue flame, it's just a little awkward. Um, I mean, as long as you're jumping over the blue flame, you'll be fine. It just feels a little weird, especially because like the sound. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but the sound design felt a little lacking. Like with the blue flame, it maybe should have been louder or something. But maybe that's just me. Um, and I'm gonna be honest. I don't know anything about this guy. Like before and after fighting him, it's like, who the fuck was that? And the game doesn't explain. Like, like genuinely, who is this guy? Like, why is he important with the lore? Why does he pop up here? Before Saint Trina. Like, what does this guy have to do with anything? I actually genuinely don't know. Um, the fight itself, though, it's fun, and he has a lot of weird combos. How he like fucking bends his back and spins around. Like, how the fuck do you even move like that? It's weird and disgusting, but also kind of cool. Um, it's like fighting him is pretty cool. He has a couple of weird moves that I'm not really a huge fan of, but he's still a good boss. I don't really have much else to say about him. Like he's a decent boss. I'd probably put him at the top of B tier, honestly. Um, because he's still a pretty unique boss. There's no cutscene though, no dialogue, nothing to set him up. He has no lore. Like he really has nothing else going for him except like the actual fight itself. And the actual fight itself, it's decent. You know what I'm saying? I would definitely say it's probably more fun than um Fortisax's fight. But yeah, I'd probably say it's more fun than Fortisax's fight. Fortisax just has the cool ass visual that this thing is lacking. But I think he's a better fight. It's okay. It's okay because next we move on to Bale the Dread. And oh my god. Did I ever tell you I love dragon fights? Did I ever tell you I fucking love dragons and fighting dragons in video games? It's so fucking cool. It's always so fun. Dragons are awesome. And in Elden Ring, the dragon fights are phenomenal. They're just phenomenal. And Bale is no exception. Bale the Dread, he's going at the top of S tier. He's better than Rykart. He's better than Moog. He's better than Placidusax. He's at the top of S tier. Bale. Everything about Bale is perfect. All right? The fact that you have to scale a mountain that's fucking shrouded in a thunderstorm is so sick. You're fighting multiple dragons while climbing up to like the top dragon. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to take care of the dragon's henchmen in order to get up to the top. It's so sick. And then you reach the peak. I mean, it's called the Jagged Peak. That's what the mountain is called. It's so cool. You reach the peak of this mountain and you enter the arena and he flies in, he slams the ground. The music starts playing, the soundtrack by the way, to Bale. Phenomenal. Love that soundtrack. And you're fighting Bale and he's so aggressive, he's so fast. He's amazing. Where Placidusax had the problem of being a little too big, Bale is like the perfect size for a dragon fight. It's so cool, like seeing them like perfect the scaling and sizing of dragons throughout like the history of their games, because this is easily the best dragon fight in all of From Software history, and they perfected the scale of it too. And I think that's the big reason why he's so good, because he's not too big, but he's not too small either. He plays so well. He's so fast. There's a ton of just amazing moves that he has. The visual fighting at the top of a mountain is so fucking sick. And the mountain has like flowers on it. And like the arena is so cool. It's so fucking sick. And the quest line between him and Egon, you know how that quest line reflects Moby Dick, how this guy's constantly hunting for this whale that took his arm and shit. Like Egon and Bale is like Moby Dick. Um, how Egon is like, Egon got his fucking legs taken from Bale, and now he's on the hunt for Bale again. And you talk to Egon and you summon him during the fight, and he's like, Bale! Oh my god. I thought at first he was overacting. When you first encounter him, he's like yelling just nonsensically. He's like, okay, what the fuck is this? What is this NPC doing? You know what I'm saying? But then you get to the top of the mountain and you understand why he's yelling. And while you're fighting Bale, he's fucking yelling at him. He's like, I will slay you, Bale! It's like, oh my god, this is so sick. He's firing arrows at him. Like, if you've ever done that quest line, you know how epic that is. It's so fucking cool. Um, and Bale, oh my god. And then you go to the second phase. Holy shit. Talk about memorable moves. You know how I was talking about Placidusax and how he has so many memorable attacks? Bale has so many memorable attacks as well. Transitioning to the second phase, flying around, summoning fireballs to attack you, and then slamming into the fucking arena. He has another attack where he flies in the air and shoots a laser at the ground that makes basically the entire arena explode, and it's super hard to dodge, but super fun. Um, like, dude, he's so fucking cool. He's so cool. He's so cool. I literally have zero complaints about Bale. I actually can't think of a complaint that I have with Bale. He does have that weak point mechanic where if you hit him in the face, then it does more damage, where if versus hitting him in the body. But he keeps his face lowered a ton. You have a ton of openings to hit his face. So, um, like there's, it's just, you got me excited talking about a dragon. Oh my god, this guy is amazing. Bale is S tier. Moving on. Now we go from arguably the best fight in the DLC and arguably the best fight in the game, moving on to, I would say, probably the worst fight in the DLC. Not the worst fight in the game though. We have Commander Gaius. And this guy, um, I will say, he is cool. Okay, he's not terrible. I think a lot of people, I think he's a little overhated. A lot of people hate on him just for no reason. Um, but I just think a lot of people hate on him because he has one bullshit move that's literally impossible to dodge. Um, but you could fight him on the horse, which is cool. It gives you that option. Um, I'd rather fight him on foot, but you could fight him on the horse if you want. He has a second phase where he uses gravity magic and he's throwing all these rocks at you and he's slamming into the earth. He's really visually cool with a lot of his moves. He just has that one move that I will say is complete bullshit. Um, so, um, sheesh. But to be fair, he does have a lot going for him. The arena is cool, this like tall grass arena with the big ass shadow tree in the background. Fighting him there is really nice. No dialogue though, no cutscene. His lore is interesting. You discover after fighting him that he's an albinoric and he has no legs. That's why he's riding a boar. And that he was actually like ostracized because he was an albinoric, and people made fun of him for having no legs, and people made like leg armor for him. And it's like, haha, you have no legs, you'll never be able to wear this armor. It's like, wow, okay, that's a dickhead move. Um, so he probably has a lot of built up anger. But it's cool, you know. He's riding a boar, um, and he's using gravity magic. It's just that it's really unfortunate because it's really just one move that completely takes away from a lot of the fight. And it's even if it was just like the move, he just started the fight with that charge move, and that was it, then okay, it would be fine. But he spams the charge move, and it's literally so hard to dodge. Um, it's like Melania's waterfowl dance. Like you have to know exactly where to be and time it perfectly in order to dodge the charging move that Gaius does. It's so bullshit. And he spams it too. He spams it like it's the only move he knows, even though he has like a ton of different moves. It's so weird. So if I were to rank this guy, I'd probably put him in B tier. I think right here. I think this is a perfect spot for him. And look at this tier list so far. We have like a ton of it looks like a pyramid or a mountain. You know what I'm saying? Notice how there's nothing in F tier? That's not an accident. That's on purpose. You know what I'm saying? The F tier, oh, then why not get rid of it? It's because the F tier, it's there symbolically to show that there are no completely terrible bosses in this game. There are no absolute shitters. You know what I'm saying? Because even the Deer Spirit, I don't think is a F tier boss because at least it's pretty. You know what I'm saying? There's always a redeeming quality about even the bad bosses in this game. So none of them are F tier. All right? So it's there to symbolize that this game is amazing. Next, we move on to the sunflower, the shadow tree flower or something. Shadow tree avatar. The shadow tree avatar, which is a sunflower with 3 phases. Like what? Um it's honestly it's honestly not even that strong. It's not like it has like a ton of health or anything, and it has a lot of weaknesses to um flame attacks, to poking attacks, and to crushing type attacks. So it's like this thing is actually really weak, but he has 3 phases, and every time he goes to a new phase, he unlocks a new move that he spams. Um, so I don't know anything about the lore about this thing. Doesn't talk, no cutscene. The arena is sick. You fight him at the base of the shadow tree, and it's like covered in this like cool golden murky like swamp water. It kind of looks like piss water, but don't worry about that. And there's like a bunch of dead trees everywhere. It does look cool as fuck. And as you're fighting him, he like runs into the trees and destroys them. It's pretty sick. And there's a lot of his moves that are really cool. It's just that a lot of his moves just boil down to like, okay, um, I slam my head into the ground because you're attacking my head, which is his weak point. And then I summon some vines. You know what I'm saying? That's a majority of his moves. But there are some moves that are pretty cool. Like in the third phase, where he fucking like holds still and summons the power of holiness or whatever the fuck and explodes. And then he does it again, but explodes 3 times in a row. It's like, holy shit, what is going on? Um, so this fight is cool, but I would probably put it in B tier. I'd probably say, um, he might be the best fight in B tier. I don't know. I don't know. Because at least he has a cooler arena than the Putrescent Knight. And he has like 3 phases. You know what I'm saying? It allows you to like marinate with the fight a little more than the Putrescent Knight. You know what I'm saying? Um, so I think I like this fight a little more. Oh, but I don't know. The Putrescent Knight does look cooler. And he does have some combos, like the one where he hops off the horse and starts spinning around, and the horse attacks you too. I don't know. Uh, I think this is it. I think this fight is still better than the Fortisax dragon fight. So it's really only this or this, and I think I like the the Putrescent Knight a little more. I'm talking too much. I'm stuttering, getting overwhelmed. Holy moly. Um, Now we move on to Mesmer. Whew. Now, to me, if you want to talk about the best DLC fight in Elden Ring, or arguably the best fight in the entire game, it really only boils down to two boss fights for me, and that's Bale and that's Mesmer. All right? Mesmer is an S tier fight. Okay? He is, just like Bale, a perfect fight. I literally think Mesmer is flawless. So much lore behind him. You know, the whole war between the Horn Scent and the Tarnished. You know, he's fucking Marika's son that she abandoned or whatever the fuck. Or she sent to like finish the war and like slaughter the Horn Scent. It's like holy shit. The lore behind this guy is crazy. Um, and when you finally walk into that arena and the cutscene plays and you're looking around this like candlelit dungeon and he's like tarnished art thou or whatever the fuck, and then you like turn around and, and you see a snake eye just fucking looking at you. Crazy. And then you get into the second phase, and the transition between the first and the second phase cutscene is peak, dude. Oh my god. Mesmer cutscene. Yeah, the transition between first and second phase, that what's it called? That cutscene is so well done. Um, so you get him down to half health. He's
My
like,
lord, divine
ah,
light.
ah, and then he obviously mutilates himself because like what else are you supposed to do? Half the bosses in this game mutilate themselves to become more powerful. Godric, you know,
No,
the
mother,
fucking fire god or
forgive
fire
me.
giant, now Mesmer. Like everyone mutilates themselves to become more powerful. So obviously he takes his fucking eye out. And then he crushes it. Fucking crush it, come on. And then you hear this soundtrack come in. You know, you see the snakes rise from his body. You know, he's covered in, shrouded in flame. And then you hear the soundtrack come in. Oh my god. Do you hear this shit?
Tarnished.
And it's like, oh my god, the way that this cutscene is structured is so amazing.
Wilt thou be taken in the jaws of the abyssal serpent?
Oh my god.
Of light.
So fucking cool. And like the way that the soundtrack is structured, like the way that it comes in, like you hear the soundtrack and then it stops. He speaks,
Tarnished.
and then the soundtrack comes back in between when he's speaking. Like the way that it's structured is beautiful. But that's just the cutscene. That's just the cutscenes. And that's just the lore I'm talking about. The actual fight itself is amazing. He's so fucking fast. He's dashing around the arena. He does all of these like crazy combos. And it's also visually stunning and so satisfying to learn and to dodge. It's so cool. And then in the second phase, he starts summoning these giant snakes that start flying around the arena and fucking hitting you from all different directions, and it's like it's a completely different fight in the second phase. It's so sick. It's so sick. It's perfect. The arena is sick. The lore is sick. The cutscene's amazing. The soundtrack, one of my favorite soundtracks from this game. And the fight itself, it's mechanically amazing and super fun to learn and so satisfying to dodge and play around. Um, this fight is perfect. It's literally perfect. And it's literally a toss up between Bale and Mesmer as to who is the best fight in this game, for me at least. I, just because I have a bias towards dragons, I think personally Bale is probably going to end up being the best fight, but Mesmer is a close second. All right, close second. If you look at these, this is like my top three. Honestly, you could probably say this is my top five. Um, my top five personally favorite fights in the game. Bale at one, Mesmer at two, Rykard at three, Moog at four, Placidusax at five, and then Radon at six. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. That it's like then it starts becoming like, okay, do I personally like this more than Godric, or do I like Melania more? Like then it's more of a toss up. But like you could probably look at like the top five and top six of this list, and that's probably the order I would rank them in terms of my favorite. So love that. Moving on. Now we have I forgot her name. Metir. Metir, Mother of Fingers. Now, this is a hidden boss in the DLC. You have to do a quest line and everything for her. But I'm gonna be honest, I do not know much about the lore with this boss and like why she's here and what she represents. I know that, obviously there's a quest line behind it and she probably has a ton of lore, but I just personally haven't done the research. I don't know. So, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Um I don't know about the lore, but I will say that the arena is sick as fuck. You fight her in like this ocean. It's like you fight her in a puddle under the water, if that makes any sense. Like look at this. Like you see like there's water up top, but then there's water on the bottom as well. Super weird. And then obviously the boss looks fucking cool as shit. The arena is covered in fingers. So weird. The boss is like this grotesque finger amalgamation, and um, like this design, it looks like a Bloodborne boss. Honestly, it looks sick as fuck. Um, so visually, this boss is stunning. The fight itself is also fucking amazing too. I don't think it's quite an S tier fight because the boss is a little big. All right, the boss is a little big, and it's there's like some hitboxes and there's some moves that are like near impossible to dodge. Luckily, she doesn't do a lot of damage. But like for example, when you're on her side and you're attacking her from the side, she has those fingers on her side and she has a move where like she just crawls towards you and it's so weird to dodge because it's like a lingering hitbox. It's like a 2-second move, but obviously your dodge doesn't last 2 seconds. So you can't roll backwards because she's charging forwards at you. So it's like a weird thing to dodge. She has another thing where she spawns hands, which I never really like bosses that summon ads or like, summon things to do the dirty work for them. Luckily, it's just the small hands that are really easy to kill and honestly super slow, so you could probably not even have to fight them. So, they're just like not even in the way. It's like whatever. Um, but honestly, those are just small complaints I have about the fight. Just some of the moves I'm not a huge fan of, but some of the moves I am a huge fan of. Like the move where she summons a fucking black hole to shoot a laser that covers the entire arena, and you have to be like in a very specific spot. It's like super slow, but it gives you plenty of time to like position yourself perfectly so you don't get hit by it. It's like such a sick attack. So fucking cool. Um, this boss fight's great. I'm probably gonna put it in A tier. I would probably put it like middle of the pack A tier. I think Rolana is better. I think Melania is better. And I think Radagon is better. I think Radagon's fight is I like his move set better than Matir. Honestly, I might put her down here because Godfrey, that second phase is just amazing. So, oh, but so is her second phase to be fair though. But he has a cutscene that transitions him to the second phase, so yeah. Now we move on to um oh, what's this guy's name? Midir, right? No. Wait, no, that's the dragon from Dark Souls 3. Wait, what's the Elden Ring Madness boss? What's it called? Midra. Midra, Lord of the Frenzied Flame. Now we move on to this fight, and this fight is an amazing fight. It's visually really cool. The whole setup to the fight, first of all, the area before the fight doesn't have a lot in terms of content, but is visually very, very good. Like it's super atmospheric, super creepy, super like foggy, and you're surrounded by dead trees, and you're like traversing this area that's like really just empty, and only like fucking only the only things you see here are like cult members and fucking people or creatures that have gone insane, like with the madness eyes and shit, like rats and shit. So you're traversing this fucking maddened, insane, super atmospheric area, and then you encounter this like mansion, and you're exploring the mansion and everything, and then you reach the end of it, and you find this guy, this old man, who's like calling you a fool or whatever, and he starts attacking you. So you kill him, and he's like, "Oh, you fool!" And it turns out he had been protecting everyone apparently because the Lord, he was like keeping the Lord of Frenzied Flame from taking over his body. And but once you decide to kill him, that's when he finally lets go. And the cutscene is disgusting. He fucking pulls this fucking like cage out from his skull. It's like really weird. But then he ends up like this, where he has a fucking flaming head on top and the sword that he pulled from his skull, super fucking cool looking. And the fight itself is sick. The arena's not much to, write home about. It's just like a little like small room. Um, but the fight itself is super fun. He's constantly shooting these like strands of madness at you, these flame things. He has a ton of different moves. Um, and especially the second phase where he like sets the arena on fire and he starts like exploding and shit and shooting like this big laser beam of madness. Like it's the fight's visually really fun, and the fight itself, the move set is also really fun to learn. It is a bit on the easier side, at least for me personally. But that doesn't I don't think that takes away from the fight. This fight has a ton going for it. Um, it's an optional fight. Like it's really just an amazing fight. I don't think it's the best in the DLC. I don't think it's the best in the any of the game, but I do think it goes S tier. I think it would probably go right here. I think this fight is better than um Malekith, and I think it's better than Godric as well. So that's where I would rank this fight. Um, moving on, then you go to the top of the fucking I don't even know the ruins of Rao or whatever the fuck it's called. You make your way through there, and then you fight this fucking centipede scorpion chimera woman. And of course, From Software loves their fucking bug women. In Dark Souls 1, you had Quelaag, who was like a lava breathing spider, but also a woman on top. It was half woman, half disgusting spider. But the woman was a bad bitch. She had titties. And then you had what, Najka in Dark Souls 2, who was half woman, half scorpion. Which like what? But she was a bad bitch too. And now we have oh fuck, what's her name? Scorpion um boss Elden Ring. What's her name? Romina. Now we have Romina, who is probably the least attractive out of all of the three um bug women that I've listed so far, but she's still a bad bitch, long red hair, and she is a half scorpion, half centipede um woman using a spear. So that theme of bug women is still very present to this very day. And you fight her, and I'll be honest, it's not my favorite fight. Um, I don't like the Scarlet Rot because the way that she induces it. is kind of annoying. Like a lot of her attacks do Scarlet Rot. Like when she explodes the butterflies, when she uses her fucking like stinger, when she uses her scorpion stinger shit. It's all pretty annoying. But the other half of her moveset doesn't deal. It's only some of her moves that do Scarlet Rot build up. It's just annoying to have to deal with it when you do get rotted. And another complaint I have about this fight is the hitboxes are just weird. Like the positioning in order to dodge certain moves makes no sense to me. Um, like the way the centipede attacks and shit, a lot of the hitboxes are just super frustrating to deal with and not very fun. So I think that takes some points away from this fight. So I don't think this is an S tier fight, but I would probably rank her. I'd probably rank her probably right here, honestly. Um, Honestly, she might be at the bottom of A tier, because I think that at least the Dancing Lion, even though it has a ton of camera issues, I think that I like his moveset a little better than Romina. Um, I don't think she's a B tier fight. I still think she's better than any of these fights in B tier, but um, she might be at the bottom of A tier. I'm not a huge fan of her move set. I'm not a huge fan of the Scarlet Rot, and I'm not a huge fan of the um, hitboxes she has with some of her attacks. Although I will say some of her attacks are pretty cool when she starts flying around and summoning all of those explosive butterflies. That's pretty sick. Um, so it is at the end of the day. Her arena is sick too. It's like covered in these dead flowers in this pool of like red. Um, but there's no cutscene, no dialogue. She's a required fight, but she doesn't really feel that important. You don't really know why she's there. Uh, but whatever. She's I think bottom of A tier is a proper spot for her because she's still a great fight. Like mechanically, she's still a lot of fun. Um, and I think she's better than any of these guys in B tier, but not. I think bottom of A tier is a perfect spot for her. So moving on. Whew. Moving on, we have the final boss of Elden Ring. Well, of the DLC to Elden Ring. But really, he's the final boss of the entire game. Let's be real. Because he's the hardest boss in the entire game. Probably the hardest boss that From Software has ever created. Um, I don't know about Night Rain, though. There might be a really hard boss in Night Rain, but I don't know yet. Um, and it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. When the DLC first came out, there was a problem with this fight. It's funny because Radahn is so powerful that they had to nerf him twice. In first time in his original fight in the base game, they had to nerf him, and then in the second time, they had to nerf this version of him, Prime Radahn. So he's so powerful they had to nerf him twice. But technically speaking, um, the second time they nerfed him, the Prime Radahn nerf, um, technically it wasn't a nerf. It was more like a fix to his move set and his hitboxes because people were noticing that the fight didn't feel right and that some of the hitboxes extended too far out from the swords that he was swinging. Some of the hitboxes felt a little too big and too wide, and they were unfair. And there was one move that he had that was impossible to dodge. Like literally, even if you dodged the first half of the swipe, the second swipe would come in too quick. Like you wouldn't be able to recover from your roll fast enough to dodge that second move. So it would be impossible to dodge. So all they did was change his hitboxes and fix that move. So to like make it more accurate. So really, technically speaking, this nerf was more of a fix than a nerf, but people still call it a nerf because obviously the version before was harder. Um, I beat him both pre-nerf and post-nerf, so I am experienced with Radahn, Prime Radahn, and he's an S tier fight. I will say though, he's not the best. He's not the best. I do think he's better than Melania. And if you were to ask me pre-nerf who I thought was a better fight, I actually might say Melania. But now that they've fixed him and he feels more fair, I'm probably gonna say Radahn, Prime Radahn is better than Melania now. Um, it's like an amazing way to end off the DLC. You have this final legacy dungeon that you have to traverse, and it's like all this royal holy shit going on. And then you fight him at the Gate of Divinity, which is like this super bleached out white, yellow color scheme look, and it feels very golden and holy. And you fight Radahn at first, and then in the second phase, Mikola comes in, and then he helps out Radahn by summoning all of these fucking like holy beams of light after every attack he does. It's crazy. And the fight is so fucking hard. Like it feels like they were trying, really trying their hardest to make the hardest fight they ever made, and I think they accomplished it. Um, it does feel like bullshit sometimes. Like holy fuck, like how is this even possible? Especially my first time fighting this guy was fucking crazy. It was like holy shit. You could tell that they were really trying their hardest to make like the hardest boss fight that they had ever made, and it worked. Yeah, but sometimes it just feels like bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not. I'm usually not the one to be like, oh, this fight's hard, so it's bullshit. No, usually it's just like a skill issue, and you just got to get better, and you just got to learn the attacks and moveset. But really, sometimes this fight does feel like, okay, really, you really needed that attack to follow up with fucking beams of light, or like the attack where he fucking shoots down from the heavens, the meteor attack, the second version of the meteor attack that he does in the base game. He does it again in the DLC, and that attack is literally like impossible to dodge. It feels so weird um to fight that. But other than at times it feeling like bullshit, it's still um a great fight. Still an amazing fight. I'm gonna put it in S tier, but I really don't think this version of Radahn is better than the base game version of Radahn. Um, and honestly, I might put him at the bottom of S tier. Personally, I just had a lot more fun fighting. Honestly, I might put Godric above Malekith. I don't know. I might do it like this. I might do it like this. Now that I'm looking at it, I might do it like this because I feel like I have a lot more fun fighting Godric than these two guys, and I like the cutscenes better for Godric than any of these guys either. So, um, and Godric is cool. Okay, so Godric's not at the bottom of S tier anymore. I'm putting Malekith at the bottom of S tier, and then Prime Radahn just above him. That's Elden Ring. That's the Elden Ring tier list. Whew. I fucking love this game, and yeah, yeah, there's nothing in fucking F tier. That's because I really truly don't think that there is a single fight that is absolutely terrible. Like I really don't think that there is a single remembrance fight that I want removed from the game. Because even though I think the regal ancestral spirit or whatever the fuck, the deer thing, even though I think this is the worst fight, I still don't think it's F tier because there's still a couple redeeming qualities about him or her. And I think that there's always a few positives to every boss in this fight. You know what or in this game. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't think a single boss is F tier. And I really do think that in terms of boss fights, this is the best game to do it out of all of the From Software games. They really have the most entertaining boss fights in all of From Software games. Um, these are all of the Remembrance bosses and Bale, because technically he's not a Remembrance boss, but he is, okay? And he's the best. So let me know if you guys have anything you want to say about this. How do you feel about all of these bosses, certain bosses? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know how you feel. I appreciate the um the support from you all. Um, and that caps off our whole From Software marathon, I guess you could say. I know before I was playing through the games, but now this is like officially the last video that I'll be doing for the From Software marathon that I've been doing. So, yeah, feels good, man. It feels really good. yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And shit, I'll see you next time. Peace.